This video is going to go over the equipment we might use for controlling severe external bleeding. So severe external bleeding is going to look like blood pouring or spurting out of someone, and that involves cutting an artery or vein. These are not super common events, but when they do occur, we need to control that bleeding as fast as we can. So we've got a couple different sets of gear we might use, going from most ideal to most improvised. So at the top, it's always good to have a resource around. So they have the Stop the Bleed book. We also make a bleeding resource card you can keep in your wallet. And now a sticker as well you can apply to a first aid kit, your laptop, water bottle. Just a quick reminder of the steps to do. Ideally, having a pair of gloves is best for your own personal protection. A commercial tourniquet is kind of step one. So in the public, if you saw severe bleeding on a limb, throwing a tourniquet on is going to be the easiest, fastest way to control that bleeding. Having a pair of trauma shears so you can expose an area to find where the source of bleeding is. And if you're packing a wound, using things like hemostatic gauzes that'll allow clotting to happen faster, such as Quick Clot or Cheeto Sam is a good way to pack a wound. And if you didn't have that, you could use roller gauze. And then some sort of pressure dressing or Israeli bandage to wrap around that wound once you've got it controlled. So that's kind of our most ideal bleeding control set. Then we get into somewhat improvised. So if you had a basic first aid kit, you're probably not going to have all these supplies, but you may have something close. So again, gloves, a triangular and trauma shears is an easy way you can make an improvised tourniquet. It's not going to work as well as a commercial, but it's a way you can do it. And really our focus is going to be on controlling the site of bleeding. So some things you might have is a compress bandage, which is basically roller gauze with a piece of gauze attached. We can use that for packing a wound. Covering a wound, a big thing like an abdominal pad helps. And then to create good pressure, an elastic wrap kind of improvises our Israeli or high strength pressure bandage. And if we didn't have any of this, no access to a first aid kit at all, we're really getting into improvising. To make that improvised tourniquet, we just need something that's going to act as a windlass that's not going to snap. So you can think about any kind of household or work site items that may be available to you. And then we need some clean clothing ideally. So, t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, towels, even like torn up kind of clothing, rags. Those will all work in a pinch. So that's not going to be as ideal. But again, whatever we can do to slow that bleeding is going to be best for the patient. So it's going to depend where we are and what we have access to. But ideally, if you think these are events that you may be around, getting a first aid kit to be prepared is the way to go. So our next video is going to go over how to use more of the improvised gear. We have some videos as well already made on how to use the most ideal gear as well.